It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the Midland Warriors head shotgun sports coach, Coach Jacob McThenia. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Brandon. Thanks for having me on. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in the sport of shotgun?
Yeah, so honestly, at the collegiate level, it kind of fell into my lap more or less. I've been shooting since I was about 8, 9 years old, and then got the opportunity to compete at the collegiate level. Got a scholarship to compete for Midland University, and then after I graduated from my undergraduate degree, I was given the opportunity to become the graduate assistant, and then once COVID hit, we'll explain more later on, become the head coach for the shotgun sports team. I didn't think I was going to start collegiate coaching so soon. I'll be honest, I was more or less planning to start at the youth level and then work my way up to establish myself as a coach and then get to the collegiate level. But the opportunity presented itself to get to the collegiate level sooner, so took advantage of it.
What was that experience for you as a student athlete participating in a shotgun?
It was a great opportunity. It really was. Coming from Westminster, Maryland, where I'm originally from, to Fremont, Nebraska, where Midland is, it was a big leap of faith for me. I really didn't have much opportunity to shoot collegiately. There were, compared to when I was going into college, there were teams out there, but I wasn't very heavily recruited. So Coach Erickson, our former head coach at Midland, took an opportunity or gave me an opportunity and took a chance on me. And it was just one of the best experiences I ever had. Met a lot of great people, lot of lifelong friends. My current assistant coach, who's also my housemate, is my, as I mentioned, assistant coach. He was a teammate of mine. We graduated together, and I got a great education, both undergrad and graduate, and I get to give back to the next generation of people. So it was an awesome opportunity.
As an athlete, what was that experience like getting to put on that uniform for shotgun for Midland?
Yeah, so I mean, getting to wear the orange and blue and representing a fairly new program, because if I remember correctly, our team started, I want to say it was 2012 when it officially started, 2012, 2013. So I came in the fall of 2014. So a fairly young program that was, establishing itself more or less. And Coach Erickson built it from the ground up. So being able to be a part of that building and that, establishing ourselves as one of the top programs in collegiate shooting sports, not just in the Midwest, but throughout the country. I feel like that was, looking back on it now, it was a real honor and real great experience to say I was a part of the building stones more or less of the program that we are now, and being able to contribute to a lot of the big successes and achievements we've had over the years.
How was that like, obviously being a part of close to the beginning of when it started?
Yeah, like I said, I followed them a little bit online, when I was doing my research about collegiate shooting sports, and seeing how they were doing when they were a very small team with about 5 to 6 people, and the accomplishments they were making with that, and then coming in with my freshman class, I believe there was probably 13 of us that came in that year, and just being more or less that core group that helped spearhead everything. It was just an awesome opportunity. Like I said, getting to be part of a lot of great achievements with the program, and just having an awesome time, meeting a lot of great people and traveling, doing all that good stuff.
In 2016, what was that experience like for you going to the national championship and competing as an athlete?
Yeah, so the year we won the national championship, it was the 2016-2017 season. We went down to San Antonio for the ACY national championships, and more or less, or I say more or less, we did win the Division II high overall team national championship. That was our first team HOA national championship in program history. It was more or less a storybook ending. It was very tight competition throughout the week because the division we compete in has a lot of very talented teams all throughout the country. Teams from Tennessee, Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, just all throughout. And when it literally came down to the last day of competition, which was American Trap, I think we were down 2 targets, if I remember correctly, for our whole team score. And I can't remember what score we had to have or we had to achieve so that way we can win it outright. But it came down to it, and we ended up winning by 1 target in the high overall. So you hear about stories, sports stories, and like that all the time. But being able to be a part of that championship team that year, it was special for sure. One of the best moments of my life, not just in shooting, but just in my life in general.
As an athlete, what was that feeling like when you did win that national championship and you got to hoist that trophy up?
Oh, ecstatic! It was just pure, just no other way to describe it, just ecstatic. I don't remember sleeping much on the bus ride back, or just we were just celebrating so much with my team. And the first group of seniors we had graduating that year were a part of that inaugural team, that first team that came in as freshmen. They were, like I said, graduating. So seeing them, be able to take a national championship home as graduating seniors was really special to see. I was probably more happy for them than anybody else. But just to see the hard work we had given, because the year prior to that, we actually were runner-ups at the national championship. So we knew our potential was there to win the national title. We just had to come back ready to work harder and achieve that goal. So everyone was locked in with that same mindset. It was overall a special opportunity and experience that I won't ever forget.
After your time competing as a shotgun athlete, what was that transition like going from being an athlete to getting into coaching and becoming first a grad assistant?
Yeah, so it kind of was a bit of a curve. I'll be honest with you, Brandon. When I say that is because when I first got hired as the grad assistant, no one knew. Like none of the in that position I call them student athletes. None of my former teammates, student athletes, knew that I was hired. So basically, I had already been moved back into Maryland, and then I packed all my stuff back up and drove back out. Got settled in my apartment, got all my paperwork done, and then probably I think a week before school started, I made the announcement that I was coming back, and everyone was ecstatic for sure. But it was kind of hard because a year ago, I was teammates with these young men and young women because we're a co-ed team. We would be, going, traveling, practicing, partying, doing all college kid stuff, right? So being in a leadership professional role as a grad assistant, having to switch gears in that short span within a program that I've been pretty familiar with, it was tough at first. It really was. Mostly because, like I said, most of these kids didn't see me as their coach. They were still seeing me as a teammate. So it took about a couple months to a year for that transition to fully kick in. But once it did, it was I'm still learning a lot of stuff, but it was a transition and a learning curve for sure.
What were some of the things that you learned as a grad assistant to help you to then make that jump to become a head coach?
Yeah, so going from grad assistant to head coach, obviously I had to do a lot more of the administrative side of things, paperwork and eligibility and travel arrangements and all that stuff. So learning that stuff because as a grad assistant, my job was to solely do recruiting and help with day-to-day operations. So I learned that stuff pretty quickly, but it was the administrative side of stuff that I was still learning once I went from grad assistant to head coach. So that was a bit of a learning curve there as well. And other things too is just making the decisions as a coach that might not be the most popular, but on the other hand, you got to make those decisions. So being able to be in that position in that chair and telling a young man or a young lady, sorry, I'm not taking you this week, or I'm not taking you to the national championships. You know, those hard conversations. I've learned how to do that, and year 4 of my coaching career so far, head coaching career so far, I've learned but I'm still learning a lot of other things too.
Of course, for you, what was that transition like, making that big jump from going from grad assistant to head coach versus going from grad assistant to assistant, then to head coach?
Yeah, so like I said, it's just learning the administrative side of things and having a little bit more power, or I don't say power, but um, leadership role, administrative role. Uh, that was a big transition for me and stuff that I learned. And then just, handling budgets and doing all that stuff as well, I feel like is what, stuff that I learned going from the grad assistant to the full on head coach. So still learning a lot of things, but I feel like I've gotten it down pretty packed now. So
For you as a coach, what was that like, taking over the program after Coach Erickson retired?
yeah, it was a big shoes to fill for sure. Coach Erickson, a little bit of background about him. He was a 4-time Olympian for Team USA, multiple time world champion, international champion in the bunker trap game. Very talented shooter. Coached the U.S. Olympic trap team and the junior Olympic team for many years, and then he's from Bennington, Nebraska, which is a town just outside of Fremont, and he was at Midland back before the shotgun team started. He was a student there as well, so he had a lot of familiarity with the program in the air or the school in the area. But taking over for him, it was a daunting task. It really was. As I said earlier, he built the program from the ground up and established ourselves as one of the best collegiate shooting programs in the country. So that was a lot of weight. It still is a lot of weight on my shoulders to maintain that status and continue to have the national recognition that we deserve and we should have. So it was daunting. I was a little intimidated at first, but having Coach Erickson, as a guide, more or less, as someone I can call up and ask questions about, whether it's, hey, how do you do this, or how would you handle this situation, or however it may be. He was always there to help me out, and I greatly thank him for that. So it was daunting, to say the least.
What was that feeling like for you when you got announced to become the next head coach?
It was more. I felt like it was more uh, given. It was kind of like a no-brainer for the administration, our athletic directors. I didn't see them possibly opening it up to hire going externally and hiring someone. I feel like they looked at me as, okay, well, Jake's been here since 2014. He knows he's competed for the program. He's been the grad assistant. He knows the ins and outs of everything by now. So I think it'd be a no-brainer to hire him as our next head coach. So it was really really cool to have that. In fact, I really didn't get my first official day when I was hired. It didn't. It was actually when I was in Ohio. I was on a recruiting trip, and my boss called me and said, "All right, coach, the job's yours." So I was halfway across the country recruiting, not knowing I was going to get appointed the job right then and there. And then I had interviews similar to this, local radio stations, the school athletic department wanted to message or get an interview and do all that stuff. So I was ecstatic. Like I said, it was really cool to have that. And instead of walking around at these recruiting events talking to prospects saying, "Hey, I'm the graduate assistant. Here's our head coach's number." I was now able to say, "I'm the head coach. I just got appointed an hour ago." So, it was one of those I was able to tell people that and not have or you're just the grad assistant or you're just the assistant coach. Well, where's the head coach? Well, that's me. So, we'd be doing that stuff. So yeah, it was cool and really awesome to get appointed in that position.
What was that like, obviously, after getting appointed and getting to start the program and build it and continuing to build the legacy that the previous coach left?
Yeah, as I mentioned, it was daunting. But I knew as a team and as a school, we had the resources to be great. The school is very supportive of us financially and whatnot, providing all the ammo and practice targets, uh, travel expenses, entry fees, all the stuff we need to be successful. They were very willing to continue that support. And we back it up too when we compete regularly. So they are very willing to do that. And having the talent on the roster. Obviously, Coach Erickson was recruiting his kids, what I call the Erickson era of kids coming in. I was a part of that, bringing those recruits in, and then me bringing in my kids in, bringing the talent in, the potential there. I knew that was something we had to do, and that's how we made a name for ourselves. So uh, just being able to keep doing that and doing all that stuff is how I feel like I've been maintaining our legacy and keep upkeeping our legacy, I should say, as well.
What did a typical competition game day look like for you as a head coach versus for your athletes?
So on the head coaching side, stressful. As I mentioned, I'm in charge of a lot of different things, travel arrangements, making sure we have the buses ready, hotels lined up, have our entry fee money ready, get meals lined up when we're on the road and ready to go. But when it comes to competition day, generally the competitions are 2 days long. They're Saturdays, Sundays. On some occasions, they might be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday just because of how big the competitions are. So, put in perspective, our home tournament that we host this past year, back in September. Yes, I couldn't remember when it was. September. I had to open it to 3 days because I had about 250 athletes competing, which for our region, the Midwest is kind of the hub of collegiate shooting sports. There's a lot of club teams and smaller teams that are hosting events. None of them are getting to the capacity we are. So we're around this year. I think we were around 245, 250, which is massive. So we had to open it up to Friday, and a lot of teams were reluctant or willing to come out Friday afternoon or travel and compete or shoot at least one of the events. And then our conference championships are held in the end of September, early October, and that's generally a 3-day event as well. But in terms of what we compete in, so at minimum, we have 300 targets. So there's 100 trap targets, 100 skeet targets, and then 100 sporting clays targets. Now, depending on the range of the facility and what the hosting team wants to do, there might be some doubles trap, doubles skeet, super sporting, anything of that any of those variations. We can go anywhere from 300 target events to I think the most we've shot in was 500 target events. The national championships this coming spring is 600, but that's spread out throughout a week. So it's not like we're shooting 300 one day and 300 the next.
Of course, what does that typical competition look like during your home competition meets when you host them?
Yeah, so when I hosted for our home tournament this year, we did 300 targets. We did 100 trap, 100 skeet, 100 sporting. Only because, well, the range we have ours at, which is down in Lincoln, Nebraska, which is about 45 minutes south of where we're at, they can have double skeet and super sporting and doubles trap and all that. But given the size of the event, as I talked about, the 250 people that came in and shot, in order to get us out smoothly and on time and all that stuff, I had to cut it back to just 300 targets. And no one saw a problem with it. A lot of teams thought that was great. They loved how the event was ran, and a lot of the weather was all right. We had a little bit of dreary weather on Saturday, but everyone speaks very highly of the shoot. The guys down at Lincoln do a great job of keeping things running smoothly and making sure everything's up and running. So it's long 3 days because we have to help run it as well. My student athletes have to help run it in terms of scoring and doing all that stuff. But it's a long 3 days, but it's a good competition for us as well.
For my listeners that don't know about skeet and trap and clay targets, can you explain it and how you compete in it?
Yeah, so American trap's probably the most common of the clay target, disciplines. You'll hear a lot of high school and youth teams starting trap. Trap is pretty much you have a concrete house bunker more or less with a machine in it, and the machine will move uh, left to right. And then you'll have microphones set up that when you yell into them, you say pull. There's a interrupter, so like the machine's going left to right, oscillating. So when you say pull, wherever you say pull, it'll stop and throw the target. So you can go right, left, straight away, quartering, however it may be. So you'll shoot 5 targets at each post. You'll have a person on station 1, person on 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the person who's on station 1 always leads off, and they'll shoot their first one, then 2 will shoot their first one, 3, 4, and 5. And then it goes back to station 1, they'll shoot their second bird, and then so on and so forth till everybody shoots 5. Once they all shoot 5, they rotate. So the person who's on station 5 goes to station 1, 1 goes to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to, yeah, it's down the line. So pretty much. American skeet, excuse me, is similar, except everybody starts on the same station. It's the layout is a semicircle. You have 8 stations total, and then you have two towers that have the targets coming out and they're crossing like that. So everyone starts on station 1. There's a sequence you shoot with a single high target. They have the high house and then they have the low house. So the targets come out, and you have to shoot the single high house, the single low house, and then a pair of them will come out. Now you do that sequence on stations 1, 2, 6, and 7. And then when you get to 3, 4, 5, you shoot just singles, just one target at a time. And then sporting clays, the best way to describe it, it's golf with a shotgun. And what I mean by that is no course, no layout is going to be the same. So you can go shoot a course in, I'm just going to throw examples out there, New Jersey, and it's going to be a completely different course layout than, say, Las Vegas, Nevada. It's just totally different geographical areas. You go from wide open spaces to the woods to hills to, everywhere in between, right? So different target presentations. You shoot different kinds of targets, rabbit targets, which generally roll on the ground, your standard targets, which they can make them fly any which direction, middies, which are just a little bit smaller, teal, Batu, Chandelle, all sorts of stuff like that. I'm speaking a lot of funny language right now. A lot of your listeners are probably thinking, what in the world is this man talking about? But that's just how it is. I mean, if you can YouTube tutorials and intro videos on trap skeet and sporting, and they will break it down and do all that as well. But those are the 3 main games that we compete in.
As a head coach so far, what have been some of your biggest accomplishments?
Oh man, I would say and this isn't just more on my coaching. This is just more on the kids. I'm very proud of my kids all the time. There's never a time where I'm not. Well, there's some times when I'm not proud of them, just performance or just stuff they do. I would say in a not shooting related way, having our team GPA stay over 3.0 for the past 3 years. That's very special to me because in this sport, like other sports, you want to make sure you have not just good athletes, but good students as well. If they can take care of business in the classroom, generally that's going to translate into the field of competition. I have had, since I took over in 2020, I want to say I have had about 20 to 23 all conference honors. For our conference championship, which is basically our top 10 men, top 5 women, and then they do top 5 male freshmen and top 5 female freshmen. So every year that I've been coaching, we've always had at least a handful of kids make those honors, which is great to see. 2 All-Americans so far, 17 academic All-Americans, and then we took runner-up at the national championships last year. Different association, That's no longer in existence, unfortunately, but we did take runner-up as a team. Several team awards, like first place team awards, individual awards. My first year as head coach, that was post-COVID, so we all know what the world was like back then. We were very fortunate to win the American Trap title outright, even though that wasn't officially recognized, but we recognized that because if you look at the scores, there was no other teams that were close to our team score for American Trap that year. So having that, and I can elaborate a little bit more on that if need be, but having that with a condensed national championship with COVID and everything going on, that was really special too. But honestly, there's so much stuff that I can cover right now that your episode would go way too long, Brandon, and I don't want to take up too much more of your time. But our program's very talented, very, very accomplished kids. And yeah.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've built and continue to grow from the previous coach?
Yeah, so I would say our big thing with culture is, this is the most individual team sport out there. What I mean by that is you have your registered governing bodies like the Amateur Trap Shooting Association, the National Sporting Clays Association, and the National Skeet Shooting Association. All that's individual. When you get to like your high school and youth programs, there's team related stuff. Um, but in the college game, it's very team oriented. So a lot of these kids, they may come from the solo background. Some of them have done team stuff. Some did both. But in our mindset is, it's an individual team sport. At the end of the day, everybody's wants to be the top dog. Whether it's high male, high female. But as we all know, the teams get remembered a lot longer than the individual, whether that's at a shoot, regular season shoot, the national championship, the conference championship, whatever it may be. That's where our mindset is. It's a team first mindset. And we're a very supportive group. You hear the cliche all the time, with coaching or with teams, well, they'll say, well, our program's like a family. Well, we're like a family. Some of them don't really mean that. It's good. You hear about that. You hear some teams, then you talk to the kids, and they're like, "No, I can't stand half of this team, or I can't tolerate the coach, or whatever." So for us, I can actually say that because my kids spend so much time together, not just practicing and competitions, but outside of it too. When they have time to decompress and be themselves, be college kids, be young adults. They can relax and have fun, and they're a supportive group. When they're down on their luck, or they've had a bad day, or they're not shooting the best or whatever, they're all out there supporting one another. They're like, well, what can we do to help you? Because as I talked about a little bit ago, it's myself and my assistant coach. There's two people. Our roster size is 34 kids. So I can't get to every single kid right away. Neither can my assistant coach. So a lot of my other shooters who are very well versed in some of these other disciplines like trap or skeet, sporting clays, what have you, they're willing to help out and help those who are struggling and need a little bit extra help. So it's not like they're like, well, they're not shooting so good, we'll leave them be. They're not going to make it. They're going to want to see you succeed just as much as they want to succeed too. And so I tell all my kids, don't be afraid to help out. Don't be afraid to say something. And the only other thing too I can say with culture is, at the end of the day, if you're having a bad day of shooting, don't let it affect your rest of your squad mates, because someone else on your squad's having a phenomenal career highlight day. You better be their number one fan, because I know if you're having a career highlight day and they're not having a good day, they're going to support you back. So, making sure, give and take the support, and just making sure we're all in it together for the one goal. We win the individual stuff. That's awesome. I'll be proud of them. But at the end of the day, the team stuff's going to get remembered a lot longer.
What does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes? And as a head coach, what do you look at in those prospective student athletes?
Well, recruitment process now, compared to when I was looking at colleges to shoot, it's a lot, I'd say, more mainstreamed. Social media is a big part of it nowadays. We have a lot of kids who will create social media accounts just based around their shooting, which is great. That's awesome to see that. You can go on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, and see that kind of stuff. CollegeShootingSportsRecruiting.com is more or less the huddle, as I call it, of shotgun sports. Student athletes, prospective student athletes can create a profile and put their averages, their scores, accomplishments, what they're looking for in a school, where they want to go to school, like geographically located, whether they want to stay in the southern United States, the Rocky Mountain region, the Midwest, the Northeast, whatever it may be. They can put that stuff and coaches can reach out. I would also say what I look for is obviously, good shooters. I think that's kind of the big thing. All the coaches are going to say, we want to have the best shooters. However, I also say I look for good students as well. As I elaborated when we talked about accomplishments, I look at can they take care of business in the classroom? Yes, no, okay, perfect. If they can, then they're good shooters. That's going to carry you a long way. Now, if you're a good shooter and you're half-assed in the classroom, I'll talk to you, but I'm going to tell you need to step it up academically. If you're just a terrible student, I'm probably going to have to pass on you. Just because if you come into college and you can't handle business in the classroom and you're ineligible, what good are you doing for myself and your teammates in the program? You're carrying your dead weight almost, pretty much. I hate to say that, but it's the honest truth. And then on the same token for shooters, if you're a good shooter but you're a terrible teammate, chances are I'm going to walk away from you. I can't have that kind of mindset and toxic behavior, if you want to call it that, in my program. We've had kids like that. When I early on in my program, it was all about them. Didn't care about anybody else, making bad decisions, bringing the team down. I can't cut kids, but I can strongly encourage them to leave. So, a lot of these kids, took that alternative route and, went elsewhere or, just maybe stopped going to school. I want what's best for the program, so I do what's best. For example, this past summer, I was in Ohio and there was a young man who I was watching shoot, and I was sitting on my golf cart just watching. He started out really good, shot 25 straight his first round in skeet. I was like, all right, this kid's got something. Yeah, next round, I think he missed one. Okay, yeah, you missed one. You shouldn't let it affect the rest of your round. You just keep powering through. A 99 out of 100, I'll take that over an 89 because you gave up. Well, this young man missed one and let it affect him, and he, wasn't talking to his team, wasn't supporting his teammates, throwing empty shells after he get done shooting and all that, and had him on my list. I'm 28 years old, but I still have a list of paper, with names on it, and I just crossed them out and went to the next person because I'm not wasting my time with someone like that. I'm going to be honest. If you act like a fool there, I can't imagine what it'd be like at the college level. So, just taking that stuff seriously and looking at that's what I look for. Being a good teammate, be a good sport, good shooter, good student. Those are the stuff I look for.
As an alma mater and a head coach, what is that like getting to see those freshmen put on that skeet jersey for the first time versus putting it on for the last time?
Oh man, yeah. So I'd say for the first time, it's really cool because when you talked about earlier is the program started in 2012, and we've been just built up to this well-known name to this point in the country. So seeing them put that on, just knowing that they potentially can leave their legacy, leave their mark on the program, professionally as a shooter, student, whatever, they're going to leave their mark and they're going to help maintain that well-known status of people that have come through and made a name for themselves in this program. That's special to see. In terms of the last time they put their Midland gear on, it's bittersweet. I'd say last year was probably the worst for me because I had 3 seniors that I recruited as true freshmen come in when I was grad assistant. They came in and they were I'd say my first official group of recruits. My first year as grad assistant, it was kind of a mix group of, Coach Erickson had his kids, so I was helping him bring them in as well. But my second year, I was solely me. Excuse me, I had that all mixed up. They were my first part of my first group. This year's senior class, who's graduating this year, will be my first solo group. That's right. Excuse me for that. Sorry. So last year's seniors, when we were at the national championships, the last event we had to shoot, it was tough to see them hang it up for the last time because they're going on to, I had a young man go to medical school. One young man just got a job with his local sheriff's department in California, and I can't remember what my other young man's doing. But it was tough to see. But ironically enough, we were tied as a team in a team shoot-off for runner-up and third place high overall against another team here in Nebraska, Concordia. So watching the two of those seniors be a part of those top 5 guys that had to go 5-on-5 and a shoot off and win it. That was really emotional to me to see them go out with that. Yeah, we didn't win the national title, but to keep a runner-up team and just to hold on and win in overtime more or less, that was really special to me. And I tried not to show my emotion too much, but I definitely did that day.
As a coach, what is it like getting to see those athletes go on and compete professionally for the national team?
Yeah, so I actually have a former teammate of myself and my assistant coach, Alicia Goff, who competes for the U.S. Army's bunker trap team. She's been doing that since she graduated college. She's traveled all over the world competing and trying to qualify for an Olympic spot. She's still going at it, which I'm so happy for her and very supportive of her. For kids now, I do have a few that have aspirations to go on and do the Olympic route eventually. And I just tell them the same thing. I will support you 110% any way I can, although it's not a primary focus on our end of what we're trying to achieve as a program. I will still support you and help you out in any way I can to make sure you're achieving that dream. And it also helps too that I have a lot of connections with, the USA shooting program, whether they're former coaches like Coach Erickson or shooters for them, Alicia Goff being one and Derek Mine, another one. I have those connections so I can call and ask them questions at any time about anything. So, yeah.
What are some of your future plans for the shooting program moving forward?
Oh man, well, my plans, I don't see myself going anywhere anytime soon. I have a lot of people that ask me that being a younger coach. I tell them, well, I've been here this long. I don't see myself going anywhere anytime soon. But for the program, obviously I want to get us another national title for the program as a team HOA, not just in events. I want a national team championships, which with the talent we have this year going into next year, I feel like it's very possible within our future, next couple years or so. And as for the program itself, maybe growing my roster a little bit, just have a little bit more depth. Right around, I said 34 kids right now, maybe get up to 40 next year. It'll be a tough task for myself and my assistant coach, but I feel like it's very doable for us and we can make it work. And just continue to be the best. And I say that's all I could say is just continue to be the best.
What advice would you give those incoming freshmen entering their first year of shotgun sports?
So are you talking about like recruits coming in on campus their first year?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So my advice is, and this is pretty practical because I have a large majority of my roster is from out of state, not from Nebraska. They go from, Utah, California, New York, Texas, all over the U.S., North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, wherever. My advice is, just get involved. Don't sit in your room and, worry about all these little things in life. Just go out and have fun. Obviously with our schedules, especially in the fall season, because it's our busy travel season. I always tell kids, there's not really enough time to be homesick. where we're practicing several times a week. You're on the road traveling. We're at competitions. You're in class. You almost are too busy to be homesick. But a lot of kids are different than others. So I always tell them, stay involved. Don't If you have questions, don't be afraid to ask them. Whether it's me or an upperclassman or anything, and getting help academically. College is very different from high school in terms of the material and your schedule and all that. So you have a lot of downtime. So you can take the route of I'm going to take a nap. I have an 8 a.m. class, but I ain't got another class till 1 o'clock. I'm going to go take a nap. Well, you could do that, or you could get some work done, knock out some library hours that I mandate, or whatever it may be. So just being independent but taking initiative too. That's a big skill not a lot of kids have coming in. I didn't have that myself, but I learned after about a couple months it's something you have to have as a incoming freshman and as a college student in general.
What advice would you give those seniors out there that are looking to go compete professionally for shotgun sports, like represent Team USA?
Yeah, I mean, if they're looking to hit the Team USA route, obviously the Team USA has their own junior development program. And then once they get out of the junior development program, they can compete openly. Just going to those competitions and practicing on the bunker trap and international skeet. Finding clinics and teams and coaches in your area to do that. The opportunity is there. It's just how much are they willing to invest in themselves to do that? Because we'll have kids who want to pursue the Olympic route, but they don't go to college because they're focused on that Olympic dream. They will invest themselves after high school to get that Olympic quota, which is fine. Kids, you can do that. If you got the parents that are willing to support you for that, awesome. But I tell kids, if you have a goal and dream, go for it.
What advice would you give those athletes out there that are looking to go into college coaching after their career?
Into coaching, obviously, I would say ask questions. If they're looking to coach, starting at the youth level or in collegiately, like how I did, just ask your current coach. Ask the questions and what all is it? What all does this entail? What all do I have to do? What all responsibilities is going to come with this? How much time do I have to spend doing certain things? Whatever. Just those questions like that. I got a young man who is a business major and wants to learn how to balance a budget and do all that stuff. So this spring he's gonna look at me and he's gonna overwatch me and see how we do a budget for the team. How we balance it and how we set it up and do all that stuff. So, just shadowing more or less, I guess would be the best way to put it.
What advice would you give those future head coaches out there that are looking to build their own program?
Same thing. Ask questions. Ask the teams that are established. It's very easy to get a hold of us. I don't think there's a single coach out there that's going to turn someone away from asking questions. There's a local community college in just outside of Lincoln, Nebraska, that just started up, and their coach was constantly asking me questions about, how do you practice? How do you do this? How do you balance this, that, and the other? I don't have a problem with that. I really don't. They ask the questions. I give them the best answers that I have, and make sure that they're establishing themselves and not getting in over their head. They do the right things. They ask the right questions to their administration. They say the right things. So I have no problem with talking to other coaches and giving them advice.
What advice would you give those coaches out there that are looking to coach at their alma mater?
Well, I mean, collegiate shooting sports, it's grown a lot in terms of schools starting teams and whatnot. But if you're looking to get back to your alma mater and coach, it's just a matter of asking your current coach. Hey, can I start out as, if you're in the area? Hey, can I be a volunteer assistant, or can I be some kind of part-time assistant or graduate assistant maybe? Talking to the coach and then talking to the athletic director, seeing what's possible. It's very doable for sure. It's just asking those kinds of questions.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Midland Warriors Shotgun Sports program at?
Yeah, so for me, my coaching Instagram is at Coach _ Jake _ MU. You should be able to find me pretty easily, or Coach Jake MU. I think that's how it's set up. Same on Twitter. For our shotgun team, I believe our Instagram handle is at Midland U _ Shotgun Sports. Facebook, you should just be able to search Midland University Shotgun Sports. Same with Twitter. And follow along. We're very active on our social media in terms of, posting how we've been doing at shoots or birthdays, commit signings, just, reels that my social media kids will make. And, they'll do interview questions like we did one right before Christmas, like, what do you like? What's your favorite meal at Christmas? Or what's the best Christmas gift you've gotten? Or, stuff like that. So, they keep it fun, but, appropriate obviously for the page to reflect it. So yeah, if anyone wants to reach out to me, DM me on Instagram or DM our team Instagram page. Someone will get back to you. And yeah, just if you're interested in wanting to shoot for Midland, you can go onto our athletics website. There's a recruiting link questionnaire in there, and you can fill that out and get a hold of me, and we go from there.
Thank you again, Coach Jake, for your interview, and best of luck in your future as the head coach for Midland.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you for having me on here today, and wish you all the best of luck in the future as well.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk _ Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Jacob, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.